everyone, and welcome to Full Sport Press. I am Zach.
And I'm Peyton.
Well, and this is Full Sport Press.
And there we go.
Alrighty. I have again taken control of the reins here, and we're going to start off with our usual topic, what we saw. Peyton, you want to delight us?
Sure. My what we saw comes from the Duke Michigan lacrosse game. Zach, I sent it to you in tweet form when it happened. I don't know if you saw it, but the star attackman Terrariton finalist, which is lacrosse Heisman, Brennan O'Neill. He had a behind the back goal when they in the fourth quarter they were up 11-7. He had no angle, so he just went behind his back and straight past the goalie. It was insane. It made SportsCenter top 10. Kind of sealed the deal, put Duke up 5 with 10 minutes left, and Duke didn't look back. Kind of destroyed Michigan, advancing to the Final Four. Brennan O'Neill had either 6 or 7 goals. Wow. He just had a monster performance. So yeah, Brennan O'Neill is my what I saw. He was number 7 on the SportsCenter top 10. There you go.
Wow, not bad. Alrighty, well, mine is it could be none other than Brianna Stu York, as the kids are calling her. Sadly, against my Indiana Fever, dropping 45 points. It was one of those things where it's like, wow, she is absolutely destroying my team, but also this is some of the best basketball I've ever watched. So it's one of those type of feelings. But wow, she went for 45 points yesterday, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 15 of 21 from the field, and 6 of 9 from 3. So just completely unstoppable. There was nothing anybody could do to make her miss or anything. It was bad, but good. Stu York, baby. All right. That moves us into reviewing last week's game of the week. What was yours?
All right. My game of the week was leg 2 of Man City Real Madrid. And it was a stunner, for sure. I think everybody expected it to be kind of similar to the first leg, a little back and forth maybe. Man City goes up 2-0 before halftime. Bernardo Silva scores 2 goals. And you're already thinking, wow, Real Madrid's going to have to come out this second half and just kind of dominate, take over, get a comeback going. And Man City just did not let that happen. Scored 2 more goals and won the game 4-0. Ended up with 60% or 59% of the possession, had 16 shots compared to Real Madrid's 7. It was just an all-around domination for Manchester City. It was impressive to watch, to be honest, against like a top-tier team like Real Madrid. And they earned it. And they're moving on to the final of the Champions League to face Inter Milan, but that'll be in a few weeks. So,
nice. Yeah, they're too good. All right. My game of the week was the Mystics versus the Liberty. I think I remember saying this might be one that the Mystics can steal because it's the Big Three's first game together, and I was correct. The Mystics not only won that game, but they absolutely destroyed them. The Mystics won 80-64. The Liberty's Big Three of Sabrina Ionesco, Brianna Stewart, and Jonquel Jones combined 12 for 36 from the field and 3 from 17 from 3. I do know that Ionescu shot more shots herself combined than Stewart and Jonquel Jones, which absolutely should never happen. But Elena Deladon and the rest of that Washington Mystics defense just picked up right where they left off and absolutely shut down the Liberty. It did not matter because the next game was the Fever game, which we mentioned beforehand. But they did get that first game, and who knows, it could matter later on. All right, well, that's all for what we saw and all we got for our game of the weeks. Now, moving on to our first league.
All right, so we have the Premier League and a couple other extra things to add in with soccer and extra league to kind of mention. So officially, Manchester City has won the title after Arsenal's loss to Nottingham Forest. That clinched it. So on Sunday when they had their game, it basically didn't matter. It was basically a title celebration, and they still beat Chelsea anyway. But they have officially won it. Now the big things to look on going to the next or the last match day is the relegation, which we'll get to in a second. Before then, Liverpool played Aston Villa, and there was a couple send-offs. James Milner's last game at home, Roberto Firmino's last game at home, and that's who I want to mention. Roberto Firmino gets subbed on and late in the game. Liverpool down 1-0. It's been a rough game. They haven't really had many chances. And then Salah crosses it in, and Firmino just comes flying in. I don't know how in the world he scored it. Flying
That was
in,
crazy.
somehow taps it in and gets us the draw. And to be his final game in Anfield, to end it that way was just poetic.
Yeah.
Liverpool's
Wild.
fans singing his song "Si Senor" to him for the final time, and then tears running down his face. If you haven't seen that video, it's pretty cool to see. Yeah, it was awesome for Firmino to get sent off that way. All right, moving on to relegation zone talk. As I mentioned, Nottingham Forest beats Arsenal. I believe they will not get relegated because that put them into 16th, and they're 4 points ahead of the next team. So they are good. Nottingham Forest is good. It comes down to the final three teams: Everton, Leicester, and Leeds. All right, so sitting in 17th, we have Everton with 33 points. Their final game is going to be Bournemouth at home, and Bournemouth is 15th in the league. So they have a really good chance, I would say, of making it because they do sit outside of the zone right now. All they don't need to happen is as long as they don't lose and Leicester or Leeds wins, then they are good. So if they draw, no, they do have to. It depends on a lot of things, but basically that's the scenario. They need to either win or draw, and they don't need Leicester or Leeds to win. So then we have under that, Leicester is sitting at 18th with 31 points. So Everton has 33, Leicester has 31, and Leicester's final game is against West Ham at home. West Ham is 14th in the league, so that's also a chance to get some points there. Leicester just tied Newcastle 0-0, which secured Newcastle top 4, but that gave them an extra point to get to 31. So then that leaves Leeds in 19th, and they also have 31 points, same as Leicester. They face Tottenham at home. That's going to be a tough one, I feel like, for them to pull out something. Even though Tottenham has struggled recently, it's still a bigger club than Bournemouth or West Ham. They're sitting at 8th in the table. So Leeds, Leicester, Everton. Those are the three games you want to watch because those are really the big things that are going to come down on the final day. Liverpool needs a miracle if they want to get top 4. Manchester United would have to lose both of their last two games. So if you're Sunday, the final day of Premier League is Sunday. All the matches go on at 11:30, so they're all going to end at the same time. It'll be crazy to see the relegation battle between Everton, Leeds, and Leicester. That's what I will be watching on Sunday for sure.
Nice. That'll be a sad day.
It will be a sad day. Officially, those final people that are leaving the clubs at whatever they're at will be their final games. Could be some of the final teams' games in the Premier League for a while. You never know. Then our extra note is another thing you could watch if you're looking for something to watch. Borussia Dortmund has a chance to win the Bundesliga for the first time since 2011-2012. Now, you're saying who has won it every year since then? Bayern Munich. They have not lost the Bundesliga since 2011-2012 when Dortmund won it. So, a chance to break a huge streak. Dortmund plays on Saturday. They kind of do the same thing as the Premier League, but theirs is on Saturday. Dortmund faces off against Mainz, I believe is how you say it, Mainz, who are not great. So if they win that match, they will be Bundesliga champions. Bayern faces Cologne. So another thing to watch, those are on ESPN Plus if you want to watch that. It would be cool to see a new team win the German league.
Yeah.
For the first time in 10 years.
That's where Haaland came from, right?
Yes.
Dortmund?
Yep.
That's what Holland, whatever his name is. Alrighty. Well, now moving on to basketball. The WNBA started last weekend. And man, it was a great opening night. It was a little scared, but ended up being pretty good. I was lucky enough to get to go to the Fever season opener, and that was a lot of fun. That did end up being the best game of the first first night. There was a point at the end with about 30 seconds left where it was about 3 4 point game, and then foul things happened, and then the Sun obviously took it. But yeah, in that game, Kelsey Mitchell had a huge 11-point second quarter. She had a back-to-back-to-back 3 point plays, one being an and one, and then 2 threes, which were able to help us get over like a 19-point deficit to get us back in it. Aaliyah Boston in her first game, she looked solid, especially offensively, and I would say defensively. She did get into foul trouble, but again, they're just like ticky tack, stupid fouls. Every time she was in the paint, literally just straight up in the air, not moving, and it's wild how just that is enough to like knock people off their shots. But no, in her first game, she had 15 points, 9 rebounds. She was one rebound away from getting a double double, which would have been cool to see. Um, Moving on to the Sparks and the Mercury. This was the 11 o'clock ESPN game. The Sparks ended up winning 94-71. Nneka Agwumike, or the Agwumike sisters, combined for 32, shooting at 46 and 50% each, which is wild. Zaya Cook, former Gamecock, came off the bench for 14 points on 8 shots. She went 2 for 2 from 3, and then 5 for 6 from the field. It was wild how she was just so efficient and coming off the bench in her first time ever on a WNBA court, getting those minutes in and making the most of them, looking really good doing it. So far, the Gamecocks are looking good in the WNBA. Moving on to the next game, we got the Wings and the Dream. This was on Saturday, I want to say, and it was either Saturday or yesterday. But Arike Agumbawale is ridiculous. Can absolutely make any shot. She scored 27 points, and she had a few shots, like threes, that were well over 25 feet out. It was outrageous, the thing she was doing on that court against the Dream. Sabali and Natasha Howard, both for the Wings, also scored 20 plus each. So the Wings look like they have a nice little core there. Ryan Howard on the Dream, she's somebody in her second year who everybody is kind of looking at to have that next step and to be one of these superstars in the league. She had a 2010 double-double. And then moving on to the Aces and Storm, this was a rough game if you were a Storm fan. The Aces absolutely demolished them 105-64 in a 41-point win for them. They look like they have not missed a step since winning the championship last season. They only got better and scarier in adding Candace Parker. Asia Wilson had a 13-13 double-double, defending that MVP title. 6 players on the Aces scored in double digits, so there's that. And then on the Storm side, Jewel Lloyd, she's still a scoring machine. She had 22, and then the rookie Horston, she also looked pretty solid in her debut, going up against Asia a few times, which was pretty cool to see. And of course, like I said earlier, Stu York for 45. That's just crazy. So a really good weekend for the W. If you watch and pay attention, definitely keep watching because these games are just going to get better and better. I did finally get to, since the season started, I got to sit down and experience the League Pass, and it was really nice. Literally any game that's not on national television, you can watch on there. Really good, like user interface and everything. They recently updated the app, so it is like a ton better than what it was before. But yeah, it's only $25 a year, which is so cheap. You get all the games. One thing I found, which I absolutely love and will be watching every day, the next day they do quick games. So basically it's the games from the night before, but they're consolidated down into like 10 minutes. So you can see basically the entire game all the way through, no commercials or anything, and see like the really good shots and points of it. So if you're trying to get more into basketball or more into the WNBA, definitely get the League Pass because it's so cheap and so good. And yeah, Peyton, I know you watched a little bit of the Sky game yesterday. What were your thoughts?
Um, I didn't really watch it. It was kind of just on in the background, so I don't
Mm,
know if I have any thoughts on it necessarily.
man, Sky are good. Kalia Copper, she's crazy. All righty. Well, that moves us on to the NBA. Dang. All right. Well, we had the draft lottery. You want to tell us what happened there?
The Spurs get the number one pick. I feel like
They do.
it was rigged, honestly, with the story. It just matches too well that they got the number one pick when David Robinson was coming out, when Tim Duncan was coming out, two legendary big men, and now when Wembanyama, it feels weird to me, but you won't ever be able to prove that, so we'll just have to live with it.
Dude, I listened to a podcast today that talked about kind of the behind the scenes of the lottery, and that stuff is wild. So I'm gonna go on a little tangent. First of all, you know how they do the lottery? They have like the little vacuum and it sends the ball.
Yeah.
They do all this like in a back room an hour before they televise anything. So if that goes down, they have a backup, which is just another one. And if that goes down, you want to know what the third option is?
What?
The third option for picking the picks of the NBA lottery, if both of the vacuum machines go down, they get a NBA official ball, cut a hole in the top of it, and pull ping pong balls out of it. That is the third third crisis reaction they have if all the power goes out and the vacuums die. So yeah,
That seems a little overkill. But
I kind of like it. I wish they would do that every year.
I think my thinking is why not show the lottery happen live instead of doing it in a back room? That literally would take away any
Yep.
if it's the random ball shooting up and that's how they decide. That takes away the
Mm-hmm.
possibility of it being rigged. If we see that happen live, that right now, how do we know any of that's real? We don't. We're just believing in them for what they're saying. They could be just rigging it. You never know.
All that information comes from Zach Lowe, so I don't know. But yeah, the Spurs get them one pick, so congratulations, Spurs fans. You will get to see Victor Wembanyama. Honestly, a great spot for him in a place that has a really good coach. He's got a good history. Has a really good history of international players. So kind of couldn't be a better spot for Wembanyama. Besides, you have to play for the Spurs, but I'm sure they'll be good again one day. The Hornets end up with the 2 pick. Who do you think they're picking?
I have no idea, honestly. I guess
I
Brandon
think it's
Miller.
I think it's going to be Scoot. I don't know though. I don't know anything about
I
Scoot.
don't either.
So
Yeah, that's why I don't know if he's like from what I've read, he's supposed to be really good. So
yeah, I feel like this is a time where we got to get on YouTube and just watch
yeah,
highlights of all these people. And then Portland they've already come out and said they're probably going to try to trade this 3 pick. They want to get somebody in there who's going to help Dame out now. I feel like this has been the story for the past 5 years, and he has done nothing but lose help. But he's still there. I don't know. We'll see what happens there.
yeah, that's I.
A-
mm.
Any idea who would trade up?
I mean, I assume you're either getting Scoot or Brandon. I don't know. In my
Mm,
opinion, Brandon Miller is not that like good enough to, in my opinion, to trade up like and give up someone major.
yeah.
I don't think Scoot is either, as far as I know. Like, I don't think he's some like amazing prospect, but who knows? Um, like, is it worth it to give up a star player like that? I guess if you're going full
Mm,
rebuild, maybe. But I don't know who that would be.
yeah, I don't either. I really don't
Yeah,
know.
I can't even give a
Maybe the
guess.
Mavericks,
But like,
but I
who
don't
are they
know how they would
trading?
get up to 3. Yeah, I don't know. They don't really have anybody. Christian Wood, maybe. Ugh, I don't know. Alrighty. Well, that brings us to the playoffs. So we've got 2 series going on right now: the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals. We are going to start with the East because we have to discuss the man known as Hemi Butler. Holy cow. He just owns the Celtics, basically.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous at this point. I mean, like, he's unstoppable, especially once you get to the fourth. Like, they just give him the ball and he just scores.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, yeah, what do you do?
and with Tatum and Jaylen Brown not showing up for the Celtics, I mean, they don't really have a chance. If you can't stop Jimmy Butler and you don't have any scoring going on with your star players on the other side,
Yeah.
it's hard to win. Especially like Gabe Vincent had 27 points last night or something. And when you get performances like that from the Heat role players who 29 points, yeah. The highest scorer on the Celtics was Jason Tatum with 14.
In this series right now, the Heat are shooting 48% from three. And the Celtics aren't shooting bad, but it's 30%. Yeah. So I mean, when that's where you're shooting and that's where they're shooting, and then of course you have Jimmy Butler, who is just all of a sudden a basketball god. Yeah, how are you supposed to win? And this is a team. This is kind of shocking because this Celtics team has been picked favorites all year basically, and they can't get past 8 seed Heat and Jimmy Butler. I love it.
Yeah,
I feel good about Jimmy.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him in the finals. Honestly, it's going to be great. And then, on the other side, you got the Nuggets up 3-0, and Jokic just dominating, and Jamal Murray. Both of them are going off. And Lakers just don't really have any answers, I feel like. LeBron just isn't who he once was, sadly, and I think it's really showing this series. Like, he doesn't have that takeover ability like he used to. He's doing he's still playing good, but just not. He's not LeBron, not the win the game on his back kind of player anymore. Sadly,
Jamal Murray is averaging 35 points a game in this series, and Jokic is averaging 15 rebounds a game. So,
I mean,
and 11 assists.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, I expect both of these, honestly, at this point. Just let the sweep happen. Let's move on to the finals.
I agree.
I mean,
yeah,
I feel like this would be the earliest ever an NBA season would be over if that happens.
Well, they're not starting until the first.
Well, that would be,
yeah,
that wait would be crazy.
Yeah,
but if either of these teams manage to come back, then that would be. That's never been done before ever. So,
I mean, I would say if you have to bet on one of them, it would be the Lakers, just because. No, I would say the Lakers, just because LeBron has come back from 3-1 before, so he has some kind of, background of it, experience in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you're someone who believes in the script, I would say probably not real, because I feel like they would have scripted it for Lakers Celtics.
Unless they scripted it for it for both of them to come back from 3-0.
Okay.
If that happens.
If they both come back from 3-0, then there might be a script. If that happens, there might be a script.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and then other news from today, legend out of Syracuse, former Nugget, former Knick, former Hawk, and wherever else he played, Carmelo Anthony is retired from basketball.
I thought he was already retired. So,
I mean, he hasn't played in the league in 2 years.
He was retired,
but he is officially retired now. Still, it's like, man, Carmelo. Wow.
All right.
All righty. Man, quickie today.
Not much going on anymore. I mean, NBA's winding down.
There's really not.
Yeah.
I'm going to have WNBA every week, but I mean, that's really
We'll be getting into college baseball, Omaha, all that coming up soon. Stuff like that. All right, moving on to the game of the week. Mine is not really one singular game. It's 3 of them. It'll be the lacrosse Final Four and the championship. I think they're going to be great games, especially Notre Dame, Virginia, Saturday, 2:30 on ESPN2. 2 teams that are heavyweights, ACC teams. That'll be great to see, 2 seed versus the 3 seed. And then at 12, before that, the 5 seed Penn State plays Duke. And then the winners will meet on Monday for the championship. I'll look at the time for sure because it doesn't show it on the ESPN app. But that is going to be must watch. It'll either be Penn State would have to pull a major upset because Duke is obviously really good, and then a rematch between either Duke and Notre Dame or Duke and Virginia. And I've talked about this before on the podcast. Duke does own Virginia in recently in lacrosse. It's just been like they've won the past like 11 or 12 matchups, even though both of them are really good. Somehow Duke has just destroyed them every time. So it'll come down to that. And while you're doing yours, I'll figure out the time for that championship game.
All right. Well, I am switching it up a little bit for my game of the week. Mine is going to be the NHL Eastern Conference Finals. The Hurricanes versus the Panthers. Right now, the Panthers are up 2-0. Game 3 is tonight, Monday at 8 p.m. So hopefully you probably by the time you watch this, tuned in. And it will be on TNT. The first game went to 4 overtimes, and the Panthers ended up winning. And then the second game went to 1 overtime, and the Panthers ended up winning. So it's a really close one. Wow, both of the games from the Western Conference side finals have also gone to overtimes.
Might as well just wait till the end to tune in, apparently.
Weird. Overtime script in the NHL, apparently. Wow. But yeah, that's what I would say is the game of the week.
The Monday,
Find your time.
Monday, the championship starts at 1 o'clock. It'll be on one of the ESPNs. It doesn't say on the app, so hard to know. But it will be on one of the ESPNs, and it'll be a great game to end off the lacrosse year.
It will. All righty. Well, I don't think we have anything else.
I think that's it.
So with that, I think it's the end of Full Sport Press this week. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and email us. I can't remember what those are right now, but I'll put them in the description for you. Leave a like, subscribe. Bye-bye.